It may have been more than a decade since we've seen Formula One blast around the scenic hills of Imola, and yet the passion for the top tier of open-wheel racing has not faded one bit in this area. The history echoing among these walls speaks of triumph, tragedy, controversy, and excitement. What sort of story will be added on the virtual version of the track today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 12 of the iRacing Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Samuel Ryman. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sam, most of us call it Imola, but the official name of this circuit is perhaps a bit more meaningful to the Tifosi who flock to this place.
Yeah, the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari, named in tribute, of course, to the Ferrari family. And we might see a couple of cars with Ferrari paint schemes racing out there today on this 17-turn, 3-mile circuit. That's just a tick under 5 kilometers in length. They'll be doing 41 laps around here today, Joe. Now, I don't believe that's a full race, full Grand Prix length distance around here. That being said, still going to be very tricky considering how tight these 17 turns are. You just see on that track map there all the little jitters and chicanes that these drivers have to deal with as they've tried to slow this track down a bit in the past due to some of those tragic incidents you mentioned. That being said, this track still can produce some fantastic racing, and it also has a few finicky bits that could lead to slowdown penalties. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's just give you a quick idea of what it's like, though, with our GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Harrison Finch in the GSRC McLaren, so let's do a lap around Imola. Down the front stretch to Tamburello, this chicane is easily the best place to pass. Just watch out for the way the track bends under braking so that you don't tip a wheel off on entry. From out of that triple apexer, you've got very little time before you're chucking it into Villeneuve. This chicane starts with a much quicker first apex and then slows at the second one. That makes getting the line right tough and overtakes even tougher. Quickly, you'll want to switch sides and then you're braking for Tosa. The big thing with this hairpin is ensuring you get a clean exit up the hill. Spin the tires and it'll leave you vulnerable. As the track weaves to the right, hold at the edge of the circuit to open up Piratella. It won't be uncommon to see drivers use up the runoff to the outside with how difficult it is to get this turn right. Then there's Acqua Minerale with its braking zone that'll leave the car on edge. But if you slide wide here, you're likely to wind up with a slowdown penalty, so approach it with caution. Then you come up to Alto, which can sometimes offer a chance to pass. But it's narrow here, and the fast drivers will have to be very brave over these curves. Finally, you're going to head back downhill towards Ravazza. This is another place where you might see overtakes from time to time, but the exit is so much more important. The downhill braking makes it easy to overshoot, and then out of the second apex, you've got to make sure and get to the power as soon as possible. The pit straight is the longest straight of the track, and drivers will be incredibly eager for any chance to slip by you. But hopefully, you've kept it together and have now finished the lap around Imola.
Just awesome to see Formula One cars around this track again. I'd love to see them return maybe someday in real life. But as we wait for qualifying to take its place, why don't we take a quick glance at the championship? This is the final round, of course. Tommy Osgaard leading by 88 points over Harrison Finch. And right now, Tommy is out there, and Harrison Finch is out there as well. So they will be able to try and duke it out, and they are well ahead of Matteo Calistani. So pretty much down to just first and second, but Tommy looking very much in a good position to take this one away. He's had the pace over Harrison for much of the season. Now, of course, there's also viewers who might not have watched any of the races that we've covered this season yet here, Sam. So what are we in store for today? You've mentioned a little bit of the details already.
Yeah, I just love talking, Joe. Well, it's official iRacing series. That means this series goes on for 12 weeks, and your 8 top results will count. So those 4 raindrops there are GSRC's very, very creative and unique way to resemble 4 drop weeks. We're racing the McLaren MP4-30 for 41 laps around here today. Open setup, so you can do whatever you want with the car. Fuel as well, although these drivers obviously can't refuel during the race, but they can take tyres. The one not quite realistic thing there is that all of the tyres are the same compound, no softs, super softs, hard tyres throughout the race, so you're just going to be coming in to try and get tyres once the ones you have are worn down. Although granted, you don't have to do that. You can try and zero pit if you want, but with a very high track temperature out there today, Joe, I don't think that's a wise decision.
Yep, and actually, if we could take a look at that weather and see what the drivers are dealing with, as you said, 104 on the track, so relatively hot, not super, super hot, but up there, 77 degrees out air temperature, so at least feels good for the virtual fans. Little humid, but not too bad as the times start to come in right now, interestingly. Seeing Stefan Schmidt with the top time out there. That's quite fast for him. We'll see if that changes in the meantime as we let a few more of those times come onto the board. We do want to remind everyone and thank our donators for this crowd-funded series to bring this to air here on the Global SimRacing Channel. These are the people, the broadcast supporters who have made this possible this season. Now, sadly, we understand that it's not looking likely for them to be able to come back next season. They are trying to raise some funds. So if you are interested, contact Jan Brezina. He can help you find out how to donate towards bringing us back to cover next season. We'd love to be able to come back and cover more Formula One racing. We really enjoyed getting to call the action, have put on some fantastic races, Sam. And I have a feeling today is going to do a bit of the same, even though this track a bit known for being tough to pass. Something about just the way things are set up. It's the last race of the season. I feel like we might see some aggressive drivers.
Well, we have a relatively big field here, Joe, of 17 cars today. There are two splits going on right now. We actually had 34 people sign up for this iRacing session start time, and we took the 17 best, put them into this race, and right now they're being topped by Matteo Calistani in qualifying. You talk about passing zones, so not a whole lot throughout the track. Obviously, you get a little bit of DRS to help you out doing on that front straight, and the front straight is huge because it is very, very long. Even though, yes, it ends at Tamburello now, where they've created that chicane rather than a flat-out scary turn that it used to be. They've also annexed the final chicane that used to lead you out onto that front straight. These cars are hitting 210 miles an hour in qualifying trim by the time they arrive at the first corner. So the slipstream is going to be huge, and really I think a lot of today is going to be trying to build a gap ahead of the cars behind you through the twisty portion of the circuit, basically everything that's not the front straight. And when you get back out in the front straight, that's where you hope you've done your job and the car behind you isn't able to get you on the run going into Tamburello.
Speaking of the front stretch, that's where Harrison Finch is, and he goes to the pole. He didn't get a first lap time in, but his second one is good enough by 5 tenths, half a second over Calistani. Now, what about Oscar? Also doesn't have a lap time, also missed his first lap. So does he play it safe, Sam? Can he get a decent time in to try and challenge Finch? What can Finch do during the race as well? Oscar comes across, and he is not fast enough. He's a 10th down. Oh boy, the championship challenge is on.
Yeah, slips him into second right there. So currently it's Finch, Oscar, Calistani, and Schmidt. Manu Domingo is off course on his second qualifying attempt. Enric Andre, I don't think this is a name we've mentioned a whole lot this season. Haven't seen a whole lot of him, but he's out there in the number 3 car, so obviously he's got a good I rating. And he also missed his first lap. So let's see what he's saving up for in this orange reddish car. I'm going to go with orange.
Yeah, it's kind of a rusty red. Oh wow, he almost swapped tens coming out of Ravazza there, but kept the car together. Coming to the line, let's see what kind of time he puts on the board. And I don't think he's put a time up. No, he did not. Oh, both laps did not count for Andre. That is going to make for a difficult day with him currently being slotted at the tail of the field.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see Max Verstappen-ish kind of ride here where he's coming from the back. Talking about Verstappen at Monaco, not Verstappen at anywhere else, you know, where we'll see lots of clean passes and see how high up he can get through the field. It's kind of, it would kind of put a pretty wrap on the season if Andre is able to pull that off, considering I think we started this season with Finch pulling off something similar at Spa.
Exactly, going from tail end of the field, missing his qualifying, to winning it. Now, how about Stefan Schmidt? He is qualified in 4th, and that should be everyone actually to get qualifying times in, as I don't think any more hot laps are going to be able to count. So let's go through our starting order. Harrison Finch, he's 2nd in the championship. He's going to have to win this race and hope for bad news for Tommy Osgaard, who completes that front row next to him in 2nd. Matteo Calistani will start in 3rd. Stefan Schmidt, phenomenal qualifying to get himself into the 2nd row in 4th. Ricardo Orozco, a little bit farther back than we're used to seeing for that number 1 machine. He'll start in 5th today. Mano Domingo will begin in P6. Then you go to row 4. Victor Preto will be in 7th. Fernando Guerrero flanks him in P8. Jan Brezina starts in 9th. And rounding out our top 10, Sam, it's going to be Rob Bower.
Drivers hoping for a bit of chaos to work their way up through the field are Carl Germanton and Nicholas Rasmussen starting 11th and 12th. Luca Ferlich and Ollie Quoco on row 7 behind them. Then Enric Andre, Pierre Fabre and Benjamin Lindsay did not turn the time. Boy, these drivers, I think, were tweaking their qualifying setups before they go out on the grid. It took 20 seconds after the race session had actually started for the first car to take its grid slot. That was Nicholas Rasmussen. And I was looking at the incident count for qualifying, Joe. There were several cars who had off-track excursions. I have a feeling the tricky nature of this course and the high track temperature could lead to an interesting opening couple of laps here.
They do have an incident limit, 17 incidents, and you're DQ'd. So if you get enough off-tracks or, well, car contact shouldn't be too much of a factor because these cars are a little fragile, just like the real things. And you can find yourself not able to complete all 41 laps. So as we wait for the rest of the cars to grid up here at Imola, that winding front stretch leading down to the infamous Tamburello, who is going to be able to make it through this tricky first chicane? Will we see a tangle down into that corner? Last race of the season, most drivers have nothing to worry about but just getting the best result possible, wanting a win. As the engines start to rev and the lights come up, it's the final round of the season. Green flag is out and off the line. It looks like Osgaard a little bit better already, pulling up next to Finch. Is he going to be able to get fully around him? The car in 3rd getting held up behind him. That's Orozco, side by side through the first chicane. Finch is trying to hold him off, and he does it.
Orozco shot out of a cannon on the start, Joe. He started in 5th place, worked his way right directly between the drivers starting on the 2nd row to get up into 3rd. As you mentioned, the road was blocked for him heading into the first corner, so he wasn't able to challenge for the lead, but a nice start by Orozco.
It's a bit frantic in the back. Incredibly, everybody is clean through the first 2 chicanes. So as they come to the top of the hill over Piratella, your order for the top 5, Finch, Osgaard, Orozco, Calistani, and Schmidt.
Yeah, Rob Bower involved back there in a bit of a battle with Jan Brezina. They actually almost made contact there at the bottom of the hill, the accordion effect, as they go very, very slowly through these next few turns. This chicane they're going through right now, taken about 70 miles an hour. And watch as Brezina runs wide there. That can cost you.
Yeah, there is a slowdown penalty waiting if you're not careful. As our leaders now, we see them come through the final corner back onto the front stretch. This is where our DRS zone is. I believe there's only one today. Coming down to Tamburello. Finch, not going to have to worry about that quite yet. It'll be next lap around that it finally turns on for these cars. Osgaard just giving chase for now. Now, we did not see him last race. Oh, Osgaard with a mistake. He's off in Tamburello. He loses multiple positions, manages not to hit the wall. He's going to be able to sneak back on track as everybody avoids him, but he is down in 12th already, might be even in 13th before all is said and done. Here's the replay.
Yeah, indeed, he does slide down to 13th. We'll get a replay of exactly what happened to Osgaard here. That moves Orozco up into 2nd place.
curb, it looks like to me, on that second apex. Great job of slowing the car down before it went into the barriers. Now, this is exactly what Finch needs in this championship, being at 88 points back. There are drop weeks, so we don't have that coming into play as we watch Oscar try to work his way back through the field. And that could change things. That could keep Oscar safe. But I think he's missed quite a few, so we can't rely on them too much here.
Luca Ferlich and Enric Andre got very close heading into the chicane, and Andre's the one who comes out worse of it. He lost his spot to Carl Dremington, gets it back on the inside there, but they both run wide, taking advantage as Pierre Fabre. This all going on at the back of the field. Tough battles throughout the entire field right now, Joe.
And you can see Germanton behind them now under threat from Benjamin Lindsay here, and this is the last cars on track as the DRS opens up. Here comes Germanton down the outside of Fabre into Tamburello. They're going to go side by side under the chicane. They bang wheels a little bit, but they both come out the other side. Germanton, though, stays behind Pierre.
So while these guys go and hammer and tons at the back, up front things have finally started to spread out. Maybe we'll get an idea of what kind of strategy calls, what kind of pace Finch, Orozco, Kalistani, the top three, have for this race.
Indeed, it is a big question mark between one stop and no stop, although most drivers, we understand, are going to be leaning towards that one-stop strategy. We're watching Kalistani work his way through Alta at the moment, sitting in that podium. His closest challenge is Stefan Schmidt, still running a fantastic race, making good on that qualifying that he had, holding station just behind. Just to tell you how far up Stefan is hitting above the belt, or above his weight, his iRating has him at 15th in this top split. He's sitting 4th out on track. That is just great.
Yeah, I know Schmidt does a lot, I believe, for setups for this series, and so he probably knows how this car handles very well, or behaves very well, as I'm sure they all do. That might be playing to his advantage today at a track where handling is key. Luca Ferlich, meanwhile, just had a bit of an off at Tamburello, rejoins, but loses positions. Now, one thing we should mention about the decision of to pit or not to pit, Joe, for some of our viewers, it might seem like a no-brainer. It's like, well, you're abusing the tyres a fair bit around here. The track temperature is quite hot. Why would you opt to not pit at all? And the reason is a pit delta here is quite significant. It's like 36 seconds or so, because the cars that aren't in the pits are blasting around at 210 miles an hour down that front straight.
And as we said, it can be a little tough to pass in some places. So depending on if you're stuck in a group like we see here with Rob Boer really having to catch the car from behind Rasmussen, maybe if you're stuck in a group, just stay out and try and nurse the tires as you have to sit behind the cars that you're stuck behind here early in the race.
Yeah, you mentioned early in the race, you see we're only just now complete in lap 4 of 41. Schmidt has pressure from behind now. Domingo's actually going to think about taking 4th. He gets very close, a bit of a late move, and Schmidt backs out of it. He aborts the chicane, and he'll have to serve a slowdown for that one. He was trying to avoid a collision, but I don't think iRacing will use that as an excuse.
We're going to watch on board Domingo here. He really was trying. You can watch those tires lock up as we look over his helmet from the roll bar, closing in with the DRS wide open, sticks his nose in inside. Interesting that Schmidt did not cover him off. Let him in there. No contact, though, between the cars.
Yeah, also, Schmidt has had a slowdown penalty. It either wasn't as significant as what I thought, or he's refusing to serve it so far, because he still holds a pretty good lead over Domingo. I
think Domingo, trying to collect himself, slowed himself down as well. He was caught up by Victor Pareto behind him, making this a 3-car battle effectively as they work their way down into Ravazza. He's going to get another bite. Oh, he's taking a look into Ravazza even. He's not even going to wait for the DRS zone. Here's where he's finally going to get that wing open.
Yeah, well, Domingo's got to be concerned not only about Prieto behind him, but Guerrero is there too, Rasmussen, Boa, and Oscar. This pack really goes all the way back to 10th place right now. This time is a lot closer. I think Schmidt is going to be a bit more of a silly duck this time. It was a bit ambitious by Domingo. Last lap around, and the rear end of Domingo's car stepping out, and Schmidt!
Schmidt loses it on the exit of Tamburello, collects the car back together. Drivers clearly having trouble in these hot conditions, and unfortunately all that good work that I was praising for Schmidt has gone away. He slots back into 11th once he gets the car going straight.
One simple mistake cost him about 7 positions right there. That's how tightly bunched up they were behind him.
In fact, the gap for our field right now is only about 19 seconds from first down to 17th. This field is not spreading out by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but it's still early in the race, and it won't be. Oh, as we see Oscar making a move by Rob Bower. I wouldn't be surprised if lap traffic does become a factor later on, just because of how short a lap is around here.
Oscar.
And
Oscar's
not
back
giving
under
it up.
attack.
Oh, and he is, Sam!
More cars getting into it. Who is that coming in behind him? That's Jan Brzezina, I believe. Oscar gets it going once again. That was an absolute mess, as it's not done yet. Onto the front stretch here. Oh, and Rob Bower spears off into the barriers.
Yeah, I have a feeling Bower, I mean, even Oscar staying out, they probably both trying to see if they could continue to drive their cars. Oscar so far has been okay, Bower not as fortunate.
Racy, he looks on Oscar here into Alto where it starts. Oscar defends, gets himself a bad exit, so Bower's going to get another bite. That sends them down into Ravazza, and as we hop onto the chopper, you're going to see here where Bower just absolutely sends it, and unfortunately did not keep it tight enough to the apex, it looks like, as he tipped him around, and then that's just what started this hornet's nest.
Yeah, the hornet's nest is still buzzing as we watch the end of this replay of what happened to Bower. When we go back live, Kyle Germanton, the car's all over the place at the back of the pack right now. Germanton just drifted through the turn. Benjamin Lindsay was off course. All these drivers staying off each other, but they're accumulating incident points at the back here.
Boy, and you can catch flashes just ahead of Germanton and Furlick there. That is Osgard, now down to 14th. Nightmare scenario for the Scandinavian. And now there's battling ahead of him as there's a car off track, and that is Oli Kuoka, who loses 2 positions, allowing Osgard to gain 1 more, get himself up into 13th. And he's going to get 1 more as Bower has towed out and has DNF'd. So move Osgard up to 12th. Maybe. Oh my goodness, up to 11th.
I think he got Faber there. Yeah, it was Faber who got into the back of Croker in the previous turn and knocked him back there. Faber struggling and he's spinning.
A chaotic race here at Imola has just thrown things for a loop. Let's watch Faber. The Orion race car gets all kinds of loose trying to defend. And then braking for the corner. Let's see what happened here. Oh, once again, that second apex just did not like these cars. Now, I wouldn't think they'd be running low downforce around this track with all the chicanes around here, Sam.
Well, somehow they're getting 210 mile an hour on the front straight.
Well, this is true. Good point. We'll have to ask some drivers what the preferred setup was after this race, because I am shocked at how many cars are struggling around here. Wow. Okay, so let's update you because a lot has happened, and let's set the stage of what's going on out here. Harrison Finch, above all of this, has just been coolly running his laps. He's got about 3 seconds over Ricardo Orozco. He's running second place. Matteo Calistani has dropped back into third, and he finishes our podium. Manu Domingo is in fourth, having started this race in 6th. Great job from him. And rounding out the top 5 is Victor Preto. Now, the driver that we want to keep track of in this championship is Tommy Osgards, who sits in 11th right now. He started in 2nd. He's had multiple problems throughout this race. He needs to get up there. We don't know the exact number he needs to finish in to try and take this championship. We don't know if he even has it sealed up potentially with his drop weeks, but right now it is certainly not looking good as he has to climb his way up for the 2nd time right now in this race.
Yeah, saw him have a bit of an off there. Wouldn't surprise me if his car has accumulated a bit of damage and his opening laps. It's not handling up to par. He might be able to get that fixed during the upcoming pit stop, which I'm sure he'll want to take early to get off his tires as well that he's been abusing while racing all these guys. The good news is he's finally found a little bit of clean air. The bad news is that means he's quite far behind the drivers in 9th and 10th right now, Jan Brzezina and Stefan Schmidt. But things have definitely calmed down towards the tail end of the field. Meanwhile, things have also opened up at the front end of the field where Finch has pulled out 3.5-second lead of Orozco. And I mean, even if Orozco is just trying to save his equipment maybe a bit better for a later stop in the race, if a stop at all, I have a feeling 3.5 seconds is not what you want that gap to be.
He still could push later on. It's not impossible to regain that with the amount of laps that we have left. On screen, the battle that we were watching towards the end was Quokka and Lindsay, but that is split up a little bit as they come around fighting for that 14th position. Where we see them working their way through the obviously very difficult today Tamburello corner. Probably the chicane that has seen the most action out of all the turns in this track.
Yeah, to give you an idea of just how tricky it is throughout the field, Harrison Finch just had a bit of a moment as they were coming out of turn 10.
Plunges back down the hill here into Ravazza one more time. And he extends the gap despite his mistake. It is now up to 4 seconds over Orozco. Oh, and we've got a pass that happened. Let's see, who is this between that we're looking at? It's like Quokka coming up to Piratella. Ooh, a little bit too much curb. And that's going to hand it on a silver platter to Lindsay. Move him up to P14. Come back live. Enric Andre also in a bit of a battle with Nicholas Rasmussen. Remember, Andre out of order from the grid. He started dead last, or excuse me, no, he started 15th, I should say, on the grid. Right now, he is battling for 6th here. That's what he's trying to pry away from Rasmussen. Oh, and he's very aggressive as he takes a peek into Tosa. He is wanting to do everything he can to make up for those mistakes in Q.
Yeah, and somehow through all the traffic that Andre has got himself through, starting 15th and now up to 8th, thinking about 7th place, he has the second fastest lap of the race. He ran a 121.163 earlier on. Fastest lap currently being held down by race leader Harrison Finch at 121.002.
Very much got the bit between his teeth, sliding through Alta. Now, oh, and Jan Brzezina having a moment. What in the world happened back there?
It looked like, yeah, it looked like he went over the curb and was trying to present Simba on the top of Pride Rock.
Let's watch him on board. He is going to get a face full of sky. Look at this. Wow. If that car is not damaged, I will be amazed. See what his pace is. After this, we're going to watch one more angle from off the car. He just absolutely gets airborne. And as that happened, here we're going to see Andre have a go. Is this into Ravazza or out of it? Looks like he sets him up for the DRS zone. Nice and smooth. Flap is going to open up and down the main straight. That orange and white machine is just going to slide on through.
Yeah, another change for position soon after that. Tommy Oscar just was able to make a move by Stefan Schmidt into 10th place. Schmidt didn't exactly put up much of a fight. Oscar going forward. Schmidt, unfortunately, after promising opening stint of the race, slowly beginning to drift back. You watch it wasn't in this chicane, it was in the second chicane.
There we're going to see the replay. This is into Villeneuve. Not often you see passes into there. Kind of tough with that fast entry, Sam.
Yeah, he had to receive a bit of help there to pull that off. Meanwhile, battle for 15th between Pierre Fabre and getting into the back a little bit of Ollie Quokka.
More contact there, potentially. I'm going to go back and check it out myself. Yeah, just a slight bit of contact, but I think it was wheel to wheel, so I think those two are okay. Fabre, unfortunately, the last car out running at the moment, down in 16th. Only one DNF. Despite all the action, they do not get a spare car in this series. Of our 17 starters, only one is out.
All right, Joe, we've got a bit of an update on our point standings here. Can you make sense of these numbers for me?
Well, Harrison Finch has a lot more drop points than Tommy Osgard. That's the good news for Finch. That's what he wants. Only 29 for Osgard. Now, that basically means no matter what, he'll get 29. Now, we don't know what kind of points they're going to earn out here with this being official racing. So it'll be a little tough. But that does give us an idea that, that it is going to be possible for Finch to be able to take this championship still. Understand that third place starting to close in together. Calistani might want to start looking in his mirrors because his teammate Domingo is reeling him in bit by bit. He is within DRS range, so he gains a lot of time down here into Tamburello.
Yeah, Domingo's been slowly but surely working his way up to the front. He qualified in 6th place, thinking about taking a podium position right now.
Now, we don't have our race winner from last week with us this week, but I understand Domingo was one of those many drivers that had pit problems last week, Sam?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe. I'm being called off by the guys battling for last place, Ollie Quoker and Pierre Fabre. Those two do not want to be running in last, and the Quoker, unfortunately, finally has to give it up after a shortcut in Tamburello.
There we see Fabre currently ahead of him once again. Just goes to show you how fiercely these drivers want to finish well, even though this is for dead last on the track. They are not giving up. And wow, Pierre, with a great exit out of Tosa, stretches himself away from Quokka.
Yeah, I think Quokka, in all his drama in the early stages, he was one of drivers who's perhaps struggling with a bit of damage right now and looking forward to that pit window opening. You were just mentioning pit stops. Yeah, that played a huge role last week over at Watkins Glen. Drivers getting different penalties throughout the race.
And it's going to be even more critical, since you mentioned the pit delta here, that they get those pit stops right. Don't want to get a speeding penalty on the way out for sure. That is going to be extremely costly. Domingo continues to stalk his teammate. Did not close last time. He's going to hold at about 7/10 back behind Calistani. Drivers to watch out for, potentially trying alternate strategies, because they have in the past. Orozco, known for trying to throw a wrench in things, and Calistani as well, kind of notorious early in the season for trying to no-stop or one-stop races. Didn't always work out, but he certainly was a brave soul.
These drivers here running for 3rd and 4th, taking as much curb as they can. You got to wonder how many front wings are getting damaged by these curbs, Joe. iRacing doesn't really give you a choice on whether or not you want to repair your front wing when you come in for your pit stop. It just puts a new one on for you. So maybe there could be the risk that some of these drivers running up front will have slow pit stops while they're getting new wings fitted.
Absolutely. They've been incredibly aggressive over Alta, particularly. Some of the other corners, they can't quite play with it as much. Still not gaining down that front stretch. He's definitely getting the DRS every time. I wonder if Calistani is just really clever with his energy recovery system here, Sam, because he's been fending off Domingo and holding him back. As we take a glance back at P6, which is closing in, Andre has caught another one. This time it's Guerrero within his sights.
Yeah, Andre's last lap time was 1:21.8. That's half a second faster than Guerrero's last lap time. So he's going to be wanting to find a way by him as quickly as possible. As a matter of fact, Andre is the only driver still running in the 121s.
He's only 16 seconds behind our leader. Now, he's not looking at a race win here today, most likely, but he is running great pace. I wonder if a podium could potentially be on the cards for Andre.
I take that back. Pierre Fabre is also running the 121s, but he's back there in 15th place with a damaged front wing. I wonder if knocking that front wing off has actually made him faster. Calistani is in.
All right, our first taker very early stop. And this should be a one-stopper, despite it being early. The cars do get lighter, as you mentioned. The driver's not allowed to refuel just like the real cars. So tires shouldn't take as much of a beating. Just look how long it takes him to get down to his pit lane. Up and down and out for Calistani.
I'm always wondering, Joe, about the next time we see a pile up in Formula One as Ollie Croker comes in. I think he's got some repairs to do. Back in the day, whenever there was a pile up, we still got a decent field racing for the rest of the race because they had spare cars. Nowadays, you don't have that. I'm just waiting for the day when half the field gets wiped out at the start again, and F1's all of a sudden, no, can't really do anything about this now. Meanwhile, there's someone thinking about doing something is Andre, and Guerrero lets him by when he realised Andre had the inside for the chicane there. So, and Eric Andre now up to P5, of course, also being helped by Calistani's stop.
Oof, Andre made it look like he was in a completely different make of car with how late he could brake compared to Guerrero. But that does put him up to P5, as you said. Meanwhile,
well, P3
Prato,
now. Yep.
Yeah, is in. Domingo pits. He responds to his teammate. Is he going to get jumped, though? Fresh tires, remember, had gone on to Calistani.
And Calistani hasn't had to deal with any traffic on his outlap.
Could this be a clever strategy call from Matteo? He's coming around Ravazza now. Domingo just now coming out of his pit stall, but it is a long way to the cones. They have to wait quite a while. Patiently waiting. There's his teammate coming through. Excuse me, that was Faber coming through. Here's his teammate now, and he's got him.
Oh, Domingo put those lines across the pit exit there, put those tires across the pit exit line there, trying to defend. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a penalty for that.
We saw that last week at Watkins Glen as well. Drivers need to be cognizant of everything we've seen so far in the series. Just like in real F1, you have to minimize every little mistake. The smallest error could be costly. Meanwhile, Finch pits. Orozco follows him. So looks like Orozco not going to be able to jump him in the pits unless Finch maybe has a bad stop.
And with Andre coming in, Fernando Guerrero is our new race leader.
Going to count for nothing but pride. Guerrero leading a lap out there. No bonus points for that. Not running for any team that we know of, obviously, is our little layover has apparently a race for the champs team, I'm hearing.
So Roscoe comes out behind Furlick. That's not good. Furlick hasn't pit yet, so we'll have to deal with him. Domingo's still out on track. He actually just got by Calistani, so I'm going to guess he got away without a penalty.
Let's see, did he make that pass in the front stretch? He did not, actually. No, he made a pass down into Ravazza and then held him off even with the DRS. So brave stuff from Domingo to get past his teammate.
Yeah, give a shout out to Prieto, right? Running right behind him right there. He could be sitting pretty by the end of this set.
Yeah, his pit stop is done. So this is he needs to cycle up through the order as other drivers pit, but this is legit position for Victor.
So Fernando Guerrero is the race lead. He's coming into the pits. Tommy Osgard. I wouldn't almost be... Oh, no, Osgard's coming in. I'm going to say I wouldn't be surprised for him to really throw a strategy card into this. Stay out a bit longer, see what he can do. But no, he's coming in now. So this will put Finch back to the top spot.
The question is how much damage is on the car for Tommy Osgard, and how long is he going to have to sit in that stall? Only driver so far who has had a long stop for damage is Jan Brzezina with 11 seconds. Everybody else has a regular stop. Osgard is definitely in there long.
I think Orozco gave Luca Furlick a bit of a bump draft on the front straight. He mistimed his DRS pass. He did get by him eventually. I don't see any front wing damage, but it got very scary.
We're going to watch the replay here. Bump drafting Doesn't usually work in Formula One cars. Let's see here. Wow, he's already getting up close to him coming through Ravazza. Off the corner. The wing's going to open up. As he closes in down the front stretch. Getting right up under that gearbox. Oh! You know, I don't think it was help. We saw that rear rain light come on. He must have been charging his battery there late, and maybe that caught him out as well.
Well, whatever happened, he was finally able to get by. He's not in second place right now because Benjamin Lindsay has still yet to pit.
Only 3 drivers have not come in. Lindsay, as you mentioned, Furlick is another, and Pierre Faber have all not stopped. And we are just about at halfway for this race.
Yeah, Lindsay's into the pits, Faber following.
Furlick going to be our last taker. If he comes in, we'll see if he tries to be brave and no stop this thing. He's got him up to 3rd right now. But we should mention there is a cliff on these tires, just like the real Pirellis. So he's got to be very careful with that.
Meanwhile,
Go
meanwhile, a great scrap going on between Calistani and Prieto here, Joe. Domingo has broken away from these two. Remember, last time we checked in on these, all 3 of them were running together. Well, once Domingo got out front, he's pulled away from them. But Calistani is having a hard time shaking Prieto off, who's trying to pass the hard way.
Always tough to make one into Piratella, but he backs out of it, now back down into Aqua Minerale. He continues to stalk him, staying right in the tire tracks of that pure Team Sport F1 car up to Alta.
And ahead of him, Furlick and Domingo are rubbing tyres going into the chicanes. Furlick out there trying to stretch his first round as much as he can. And I think Calistani and Prieto will be hoping that Furlick comes in this time by, because if not, he's going to get mixed up in this battle too.
Makes another attack as Calistani goes defensive into Ravazza. Prieto cannot get it done.
Furlick stays out.
But Prieto's going to have the DRS down the front stretch. What can he do on that green and blue car? Not going to be close enough.
Yeah, this is about to get very interesting in these next couple of turns, Joe. These drivers are charging Furlick down like tenths of a second each corner. They'll be on him in the hairpin here.
Calistani comes up to him first, into Tosa. Takes a little bit of a look to the inside, or is that a defense from Victor? Victor, gets squeezed out, runs out of track. They've come together. Calistani slow.
Yeah, he got knocked into by Prieto. The rear end of Calistani's car jumped over Prieto's front wing. And so Prieto will be, Calistani won't be happy about that, but he'll be happy that there aren't punches in iRacing. You definitely have one there. But these drivers were starting to get impatient also because Andre has been running them both down. Now Andre is on the rear wing of Prieto, and none of them have still been able to get by Furlick.
Furlick is just watching this thing, probably wondering, why has nobody passed me yet? So as they come down into Ravazza, leading the train, very appropriate here as the Truly train, one of the more famous incidents here at this track. I think it's going to be a done deal now. Prieto breezing by on the front stretch. That's going to move him up into 4th.
Andre will want to get by too, but he's not going to be close enough. He'll try and get a good run out of Tamburello here and dispose of Furlick before Villeneuve.
Furlick under attack now. Andre takes a peek, but thinks better of it into Villeneuve. Tries to set him up. Runs out of track. Coming out of the chicane. Another defensive move, but it's too little too late. The horses are out of the barn. And Furlick slips down to 6th as Andre now moves himself up to 5th. That's 10 spots gained for Enric.
Yeah, I'm almost starting to wonder if Furlick's planning on going to the end here. I don't think it's a wise strategy, but he's staying out. I mean, there's only 18 laps left to go at the end of this one.
Hey, he started 13th. Fair game to Luca. He's trying something different. Now, unfortunately, we've had one more DNF as Ali Cuoca is now out of this race. Furlick going to lose another spot as Calistani, almost runs into him. And Furlick tries to slow it down and plows into him again. That's going to send Calistani further down the order as Furlick has to do another donut to get it straightened out. He's got the run on him. Oof, just a messy incident all around as both cars clatter into the gravel. We're going to watch from Furlick's view here. It didn't look like any contact from on board Calistani. Just got scared off the road.
Yeah, and Furlick has brought it into the pits, and I'm sure will be getting extensive repairs there. Obviously, it's good news for Tommy Osgaard, another position that will bump him up.
Yeah, that brings Osgaard up into 9th. We still need to get the math on that. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get an accurate picture until the checkered flag has fallen. It's looking a little bit better for Osgaard at this point, sitting down there in 9th. Finch still leading the way. He's doing everything he has to right now, which is just win the race. That's the best he can do.
And Furlick's still in this race, Drew, but unfortunately, as you were starting to say there's a second retirement.
So Henrik Andre continues his challenge forward. He's up to 5th, looking at 4th now. I predicted he could potentially get himself onto the podium. I really still think that is possible. Let's watch this for a second, then we'll try and bring Ollie in to talk to him as he's waiting patiently to talk to us about what happened to his race. But I think this is going to be pretty quick for Henrik, even though he's been having to charge through the field, and Victor's done a good job himself. The pace of Andre has just been proven to be unstoppable. He gets close in Piratella.
Yeah, Prieto has done an incredible job today, and I mean, it's still just holding on to a top 5 here. It's going to be decent for that number 10 car. Hopefully, Andre, if he is able to make a pass attempt here soon, he'll be able to do it cleanly. My guess is he's probably waiting for the front straight and get use of the DRS. Prieto, of course, with only 16 laps left to go when they cross the line, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to put up a fight, considering they've got 5 seconds of clean air behind them before you get back to Fernando Guerrero.
He definitely unleashes the energy recovery system of that McLaren as he boosts away initially, but the DRS is coming into play, going a long way around for Andre. They almost bang wheels, but Victor has to give it up as he's almost forced off the road through Tamburello. Watch from on board. I think there might have actually touched here. A little bit of net code potentially.
And at the same time, Tommy Osgaard has been able to get his car around the wounded machine of Matteo Calistani, who drops back to 9th.
Number of drivers having some woeful races today. One of those is Ollie Cuoca, who's joined us now to talk to us about what exactly happened. Ollie, only the second DNF here. Last race of the season. I'm sure that's a little disappointing way to seal it up for the 12 rounds of season 2.
Well, yeah. Hello. First of all, yeah, I could have done something better today, to be honest. I'm totally disappointed with that race, as well as with the season a little bit, because I think there was a little bit more pace, especially in our cars within the team. But yeah, this race was just embarrassing on my side. It was just, I straight of all have to apologize for some of the maneuvers that I did during the race. I've tried a different approach this time with the setup, and it was totally going downwards straight away after lap 4 or so. So yeah, had braking problems, acceleration problems. I think my tires overheated. It was just everything at the wrong time.
On screen, that pass we saw was Oscar taking 7th away from Rasmussen. And we talked a little bit about the setups, wondering if drivers were maybe going for a little bit lower downforce. We saw a number of competitors have trouble out of the slow corners just trying to get the power down. Is that more due to the weather, the hot track, or would you think that a lot of other guys may be getting the setup wrong out there, Ollie?
Well, it could be. In terms of low downforce, actually, we thought about that on the first day, because you don't really need the aerodynamics that much. So, and you have a long straight, so you would automatically think that low downforce could be, or medium downforce could be an approach. But in the end, it was quite significantly slower because of traction. I don't know. It's fairly difficult anyways in Imola to get traction. Then having over 900 or 1,000 horsepower in this car, just on the rear axle doesn't help really much.
It's certainly true. Well, commiseration. Sad to see you out early once again. Hopefully we'll get to see you back next season. We're trying to do what we can to appeal to the crowd to help crowd fund next season. But in the meantime, we wish you the best.
Thanks, man, and thank you guys as well for streaming this season. It was really nice to watch the broadcasts, and yeah, hope for a positive new season.
Absolutely. That was Ollie Cuoca, is going to come home 16th today. Unfortunately, as we continue to watch Tommy Osgaard do what he can to salvage this championship, both he and Finch have had their eyes set on that P1 and the official iRacing points. And it is up for grabs today. Finch continues to lead our race, 28 laps into this 41-lap race. Tommy Osgaard started on the front row, but has fell down the order, climbed up twice now. He's made it halfway through the field, but it's starting to get harder now, Sam. 7.5 seconds up to Guerrero in 6th. That's a little bit of a taller ask.
It is, but he was 0.7 of a second faster than him last time by, so that could definitely be a battle brewing by the end of the race, because we've still got about 12 laps left to go. Likewise, for the Trace, the other driver we've seen carving his way through the field, Enric Andre, I think this one might actually be a bit more of a stretch. Even though he's only about 5 seconds back of Manu Domingo, he's only a couple of tenths a lap faster. So, honestly, if we're only going to see one pass the rest of the race, my money would be on Osgaard running Guerrero down before the end of this.
There we take a look at Andre sitting in 4th. As you said, just outside of the podium. So maybe my prediction's a little ambitious. We always talk about the black stripe drivers, though, that show up in these races. And today, only 2. Osgaard, one of them, the other one, Orozco. So right now, sitting in 2nd and 7th for our pro licensed drivers.
Yeah, and actually another pass coming up very soon. Not going to be much of a battle here, I should imagine. It's Jan Brzezina. Should be able to get by the wounded car of his teammate Matteo Calistani here. I can't imagine Calistani will put up much of a fight against his teammate, considering their lap times are different, about 1 second a lap. Brzezina is faster than Calistani right now. Calistani just trying to get that wounded number 4 machine back to the finish line.
Indeed, and he started 3rd on the grid. So this is very much a wasted opportunity for the Italian, as Brzezina reels him in at a high rate of knots on the front stretch. That car is absolutely limping. Easy pass for Jan Brzezina to move himself now into P9.
Yeah, you talk about Calistani starting in 3rd place. For the driver who started alongside him in 4th place, Stefan Schmidt. He should also probably be able to get by Calistani in the closing laps here. In fact, in the very upcoming laps, I would say.
I have a feeling Schmidt wouldn't like the cameras on him for the rest of this race at this point. The way that was another wasted opportunity for him as well. That number 15 machine so far up the grid and has fallen well down the order. Has continued to just cruise around since then mostly. We haven't really checked in on him, but that Affinity car looks pretty clean from that angle.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the other one. Carl Germanton has been losing a lot of time each lap to Pierre Fabre. Of course, even though Fabre is catching about 1 second a lap, these two drivers obviously not teammates. And now you're starting to run out of laps left in this race. Only 11 to go at the line. So maybe Germanton will race defensively. However, I think once Fabre gets that DRS on the front straight, should be easy for him. I don't think where Faber is running is indicative of the kind of pace he has had today. He's been putting on some impressive lap times. I have a feeling he was one of the drivers who got the short end of the stick there in those opening laps in that battle we saw at the tail end of the field. And here he goes, making his way down the inside of Germanton. Germanton, though, going to put up a fight.
Well, we've seen this story before when they try to go side by side. Are they going to be able to get it done? They indeed are. Germanton, gutsy stuff. I wondered if he was going to take this lane down, but eventually he has to give it up into Villeneuve. Even still, impressive run as Faber even spins the tires to get it going out of that second chicane. So that slots Faber up to 12th. Germanton back to 13th. Fans of Luca Furlick, he is back out on track, but he is now a lap down. He is the last car running in 15th. His one-stop strategy did not come to fruition, as we told you about him having to come in to get those repairs done.
Man, Finch's pace, you see Finch just ahead of him right there, has been incredible today. I mean, he's the only driver running in 1 minute 20 still this late on. He's been able to manage his tyres. I don't know if he just has a preference for this track or a better setup than anyone else for this track, or for whatever reason, Finch has just been in a league of his own really today. At the end of a race, looks like he's only going to win it by 10 seconds of a Roscoe, but that being said, where could have Roscoe found that 10 seconds? Because he's virtually had a flawless race as well. He's just not had anything at all for Finch.
Certainly hasn't. And I can tell you, with Finch helping us with a lot of our lap guides over the course of the season, I get a chance usually to talk to him a bit about his preparation for this race. And every week, Finch just puts a lot of time in practice and study. And he is taking it seriously of him when he says he wants that black stripe, that pro license, to be able to compete at that level, and he's showing it here today. Just the amount that he puts into each week, and I think it's shown that steadily, week in and week out, he's been getting better, he's been getting more consistent, and today he is delivering exactly what he needed to try and take this championship.
Enric Andre was able to get by Victor Prieto a little while ago, and I thought he was going to run away from him a bit more than what he has. Prieto is just outside of DRS range. I won't be surprised if that number 10 car is able to do something in the closing stages here, considering Andre must have abused his tyres a bit more at some point during the race after starting at the back of the field.
I almost wonder if it is the DRS, though, that's keeping him in tow, kind of helping his pace. Perhaps Victor maybe a little bit higher downforce and able to keep up here through these twistier sections, only to lose out on the long straight. But with the DRS, that's a bit nullified as they work their way through Alta. Man, these cars just... I was amazed when I was given the lap guide by Finch, Sam, just how heavy they take those curves in Alta. I'm pretty sure he had 3 wheels up in the air in that lap guide that we put together.
Well, let's see what he's going to do here, because he's definitely within DRS range of Andre, and with 8 laps left to go, I'm not sure there's so many games you should be playing at this rate, but he's going to play them. Yeah, he's just going to sit back there of Andre for now. I almost wonder if he is thinking about making a move, like with 1 or 2 laps left to go, give Andre as little time as possible to come up with a counterattack.
Well, it looked to me like he just simply ran out of track. He was gaining, but I don't think he lifted early. As they work their way through Tosa, up the hill one more time. Loses a little bit of ground out of there. Andre looking stronger, getting the power down, which is impressive, as you said, because of how much he took out of his tires trying to work his way through the field.
The battle for 11th is heating up as well. We've seen Pierre Fabre, now that he's been able to clear that traffic he was dealing with early, he's trying to pick them off one by one before the end of the race here. He's got Stefan Schmidt for 11th.
Yeah, staying right behind that Affinity McLaren. sizing him up, knowing he's got a little bit of time to try and make something happen, and he's got the pace. So everything really in the favor of Faber for now. Doesn't have to push the issue too hard. Give himself a nice, safe pass as, boy, through that first apex, Schmidt was way off the curb. And you can see how much that's allowed Faber to close in on him.
Faber will have DRS, obviously, as they come out onto the front straight now, but we saw... Oh, and Schmidt spins it! Well, that DRS will give him an extra boost to pull away.
Schmidt looked like he was struggling there. You see on the start of the replay, even he was off the apex yet again. Wasn't even close on that one. And then just trying to find the power. That pink car almost swapped end. He did a great job to catch it and keep it going forward, but that was costly, and it's going to push him back down to 12th.
It'll be interesting to see if Faber, I think, should be able to run Calistani down for 10th place by the end of this.
He's only got 2 seconds up to that number 4 machine. And actually, what kind of lap times, I wonder, is Calistani doing? 22's pretty consistently there for Matteo. Faber pretty consistently 21s and low 22s. So it's going to be a little tight, but I think you're right. I think he's going to be up behind him before we know it.
And it looks like Brzezina should be able to get by Rasmussen as they come out onto the front straight. Brzezina's been running about a second a lap faster than Rasmussen. I've got to be honest, I'm not sure what the story is behind that. I wonder if Rasmussen is just being a bit more abusive on his tyres in the second stint. But also Brzezina started ahead of Rasmussen, has just not had as great of a race, but he's trying to make it happen here as Rasmussen locks up, trying to defend.
And does so successfully somehow, as Brzezina has no way to get around him through Tamburello. Let's see, is he going to maybe size him up for Tosa? You can sometimes see a sneak attack into there. No, he is not. Waiting patiently behind Rasmussen. Rasmussen has given us a fair bit of action this season. Some great battles throughout and some wild moments. Are we going to get another one before all is said and done?
Yeah, so we definitely have a few battles in the closing stages of the race shaken up here. We've got the one for 4th between Andre and Prieto, those two running nose to tail. Prieto hasn't been able to do anything yet. I think we've got one shaping up for 6th with Guerrero slowly being reeled in by Osgard. We've got the one for 8th that's on right now. We were just looking at between Rasmussen and Brzezina. And then 10th is slowly coming to a head as well. Calistani losing time to Pierre Fabre.
Whoa, things get really close between Victor and Enric, as Enric has a big moment coming out of Tamburello, has to check up, and thankfully Prieto was aware and didn't get into his gearbox, but these two fighting hard, as you saw on screen, down into that first chicane.
Once again, Brzezina unable to get by Rasmussen, and Fabre, though, easily able to dispose of Matteo Calistani, who still carrying that damage back in 11th. So, as we enter the closing stages of the Grand Prix, and we'll wait as they come back around to the front straight here, see which of the drivers can make the moves this time, because you've got to imagine, with just 4 laps left to go, I can't imagine these drivers leaving it to coming out of the last turn on the last lap to try and pull some kind of DRS magic there, because of the fact the run to the line. Granted, you can get a car going into turn 1. I don't think the DRS is that effective by the time you cross the finish line, though. So just 4 laps left to go as these drivers come to the line. Rasmussen holding on to 8th place ahead of Brzezina. Now, Rasmussen, the last 2 laps, has been defensive on the inside. He's been trying to make Brzezina go around on the outside, entering Tamburello. Here comes Brzezina coming from a long way back this time, but Rasmussen able to cover him. and hold on to that position for now. We'll have to wait a whole nother lap. And of course, I'm sure one thing that's got to be going through Rasmussen's mind is each time that he allows Brezina to make a lunge, that's killing Brezina's tyres a little bit. Brezina will be wearing out those front tyres a little bit more, considering he doesn't have all that clean air pushing the nose of his McLaren down, running on the gearbox of Rasmussen in the closing stages here. Aerodynamically, he's going to be at a bit of a disadvantage. And we go back up to this battle for tip P4 as they come to the front straight. Cross the line, 3 laps left to go with Enric Andre holding on. Victor Prieto. Meanwhile, Harrison Finch, our race leader, has had a big off. He just did it at the top of the hill there. He's able to rejoin ahead of Orozco, but his lead, which was 7 seconds, has now been cut down to 4 seconds. It tells you, even with this win in the bag, pretty much, Finch isn't out of the woods just yet. He's got to maintain focus for 2.5 more laps of this race. And you watch, I think he just, does he get a bit of wheel spin on the exit here, or does he just completely overshoot the hairpin? Looks like it. Yeah, looks like the ladder. And we're going to keep on the replay here because Brezina, who's been involved in that battle with Rasmussen, he just had an off that cost him a couple of positions. This looks like it was coming down into Tamburello, so my guess is Rasmussen probably wasn't completely innocent here. We've seen Rasmussen defending to the inside all race long, and sure enough, there was contact there, and that ends up losing Brezina 2 positions. Just close racing here in the closing stages at Imola. So with all that, the top 2 remain the same. They're just a lot closer. Finch ahead of Orozco. Domingo holding on to 3rd place. And now the battle for 4th with just 2 laps left to go is getting intense. Prieto definitely has a run this time. Not able to do anything with it. Enric Andre using basically the same defensive move as what we've seen Rasmussen doing, trying to defend it to the inside to come into Tamburello and make Prieto really have to work for it. Was able to work that time by. But as those 2 battle, we could see a 4-way battle for 4th shaping up here, because as those 2 lose time, Fernando Guerrero closes in a bit, and let's not forget Guerrero is getting run down by Osgaard. Well, I know we've been wondering all day how many points Osgaard is going to have to accumulate to win this championship. I'm sure a 4th place finish would be a lot more comforting for him at the end of this than a 7th place where he's running right now. Problem is, he's only got 1.5 laps left to find it, as our race leader, Harrison Finch, is coming onto the front straight right now, and the pit board goes out saying, final lap. Finch just needs to hold on, make sure he doesn't run the car off track and give up another 3 seconds, or else Orozco will be all over the back of him. And the battle for 4th, here they come out. So, if these 2 start getting dicey, how tight is it going to get behind them? Andre has it right now. Victor Prieto behind him in 5th place. Guerrero and Osgaard aren't going to be able to do anything without a bit of traffic or mistakes. Andre defensive. Prieto's going to have to do it the hard way. He's not going to have any more DRS for the remainder of this race. With he's going to have to work for it. He's not close enough to make a strike here as they work their way through Villeneuve up the hill. Very difficult to get on the power here, especially with the tyre wear that all these tyres have in the closing stages. Andre, though, able to hold on. Prieto, I'm sure he's got to attempt to dive once they get through these 2 right-handers and they run up to the chicane. He's not able to get the run, though. He's not able to capitalise on that. In fact, there's a better chance of a battle for 6th erupting before the end of this. There's no chance of a battle for the lead erupting, though. Harrison Finch, after a bit of a scare just a couple of laps ago, otherwise a flawless race, he will take a win here at Imola. Ricardo Orozco finishes behind in 2nd, and Domingo will get 3rd. It looks like we won't see any changes at all from 4th to 7th, but boy, these guys are closer than the cars behind Ricardo at Monaco. Andre gonna finish in 4th. Prieto gonna finish in 5th. Guerrero in 6th, and Oscar gets in 7th place. And we'll give you a better idea of how the points are going to shake up in just a couple of moments here, once we're able to call the rest of these guys across the line. Rasmussen in 8th place, Pierre Faber in 9th, Calistani able to salvage a 10th place finish with that damage ahead of his teammate Bazina. Schmidt, Germanton, and Lee will round out the cars on the lead lap. We'll come back and officially declare your world champion of the season, as well as give you a full race rundown and drive interviews here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Thanks for watching. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Imola. Apologies for dropping out there, and a huge thanks to Sam for picking up the torch when my internet decided it didn't want to play nice this morning. But boy, not a lot of playing nice out on track, as there was plenty of action and drivers gave us a great final race of the season. Harrison Finch up at the front, taking it from pole to flag. And we believe, for now, from what we're being told from the iRacing information, he has taken the championship. Harrison Finch, your winner and champion this season, unofficially. Ricardo Orozco is going to take home second, with Manu Domingo getting a great podium, going from 6th to 3rd. Orozco as well went from 5th to 2nd. Great job by both those guys. How about Enric Andre, too? We wondered what he could do from the back of the field. Well, from 15th to 4th is your answer. had to fight all the way through. Victor Prado behind him takes the top 5 with Fernando Guerrero in 6th. Tommy Osgaard going to be ruining what could have been, gets a 7th place finish, and we think has lost the championship in the final round. Nicholas Rasmussen finishes behind him in P8. Pierre Faber takes a 9th, and Matteo Calistani, with all of his damage, is only able to manage a top 10. Sam?
Yeah, Calistani's teammate just a few seconds back of him at the end there. Gian Bazzini in 11th place. Stefan Schmidt, what could have been? He had a good start to the race. Unfortunately, things did not unfold that way throughout the duration of the Grand Prix. Finishes 12th ahead of teammate Carl Germanton. Benjamin Lindsay rounds out the cars left on the lead lap there. Luca Furlick was 1 lap down after an earlier incident with Calistani that damaged Calistani's car too. Ollie Cuoco, we talked to him during the middle of a race. He was disappointed about his performance. He weren't pretty able to finish up the season on track. Rob Bower, unfortunately, a similar story, an early incident there, will round out our rankings.
First up, we're going to be talking to our winner, Harrison Finch. And Harrison, I don't know if you've got different information from us, but from what we're hearing and seeing, you are not only the winner today, but the season champion here in the iRacing Grand Prix Series. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, to be honest. Coming into the race, I didn't think I would have been able to get the championship because I knew the gap was quite big. But yeah, I just did the best I could for that race, and it's worked out.
Yeah, how was the pressure feeling inside the cockpit, knowing that you just had to do what you could do and hope that the chips fall where they may? You led the whole race and took home the win, but we saw at the end, you had a little bit of an off there. Was it getting to you a little bit?
That was because I was looking at the relative to see where Tommy was on track. Yeah, so probably shouldn't have done that. Probably should have waited until the end, but I had the gap anyway, luckily.
Now, we know that one of your goals here in the F1 car is to get your pro license. Obviously, this is a big step towards that. What do you do from here now that you've taken the championship? Is it back to the drawing board to do more preparation for next season, or what's on your plate?
Yeah, exactly that. Need to prepare for next season, and then I'll have to do the Pro Series towards the end of the year, where I can try and get my pro license. But yeah, it's just back to practicing. I'll probably take a week off from this car. But yeah, I'll be back straight away to try and defend the championship.
I was going to say, I think you've earned a little bit of a rest after this season. Fantastic job out on track. Fantastic job all season long. Congratulations. Go enjoy a little bit of bubbly if you have any around in your house.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the broadcast for the full season. It was really good. Hopefully we get it next season as well, because I think it adds quite a lot to the races. Yeah, so thanks. See you next season, hopefully.
We hope so too. That was Harrison Finch, your winner today here at Imola and your champion for the season. The guy who finished behind him in the points, but not directly behind him on the track, is Tommy Osgaard. Sam has caught up with Tommy to get his thoughts, seeing it slip away in the final round.
Yeah, Tommy, unfortunately, from the unofficial points we're taking a look at here, this isn't good news for you in the championship there, just falling a bit short of Finch.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, a couple more laps and things were starting to get dicey there up there in that battle for fourth place. Were you really trying to run them down at the end?
Yeah, I just put my head down and tried to get as many positions as I could. I think I had a great pace. I think it was the quickest on track in that second stint after I got my front wing repaired. But yeah, it all got screwed when Rob crashed into me. So that was basically the race.
Yeah, and then after that incident, you're able to rejoin the track. Boy, things were dicey there at the back of the field. Did you have to keep reminding yourself, hey, first they've got to finish this race. I mean, that must have been a relief once that finally settled down a bit back there.
Yeah, it was just, yeah, a lot of stupid moves. Obviously, I made a mistake on the second lap, which was bad. I was actually just trying to, I didn't push or anything. I was just trying to take it easy, but just lost the coming over the curb. Spun back to 12th or something. Was working myself up. Was in the bunch, so I knew I had great pace, so I thought I could still win it. But then obviously got taken out, and then had to repair the front wing because of that, and things just didn't turn my way.
Well, you already have the black stripe on your car, on your license. Obviously, you're racing with a lot of drivers out there, Finch included, who are looking for that black stripe. Which drivers throughout the course of the season are you looking at thinking, oh boy, I better watch out for these drivers next year?
Well, definitely not Rob Bauer, but Harrison is doing a great job. He's proved a lot during the season. And obviously Ricardo has a black stripe, and he's been doing well as well. But I think, maybe Kalistani and Harrison, my old teammates, are ones to look out for. I'm pretty sure Harrison will get it.
Yeah, I completely understand your disappointment with not being able to take a championship here, but you and Harrison Finch, you've been putting on great shows for us all season long, so we thank you for that. And we wish you all the best of luck in the future. And I just want to thank you for coming here, putting on some great races throughout this year. Unfortunately, this just wasn't one of them.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for broadcasting the races. It's been good fun, and congrats to Harrison on the win as well. He's done really well this season, so he deserves it.
All right, Joe, that was our 7th place finisher today, Tommy Osgaard. Number 2 car for today, unfortunately, going to finish there in the point standings.
Number 2 on the track was Ricardo Orozco, and he didn't see a whole lot of action, but I'm sure he was plenty happy with that to get himself a nice, quiet podium, even though he didn't have the pace for Finch. Ricardo, do you put that down to setup, or do you think just Harrison was just plain faster than you today?
Hello, guys. I just literally picked up the car a couple of hours ago. Of course, I was practicing for the WCS for the past couple of weeks. But Harrison was super fast. He's ready for this race, and he's showing very good pace. And I think if he keeps this up, probably we'll be seeing him in the WCS next year. So doing a good job. And I'm not sure if he won the championship or not, but congratulations on his past races. It's been really good results.
By our calculations, he has won the championship this season. Somehow managed to overtake Tommy here in the last round. But let's talk about your race start, because that really set the tone for you as you charged up from 5th up into the podium. What helped you off the line there? That was phenomenal.
It's something that I would say perhaps is one of my biggest strengths. I've been having good starts, actually, even in the WCS. I've been doing well. I think this change that iRacing has made with the double clutch they have implemented is now more even for everyone. And I think it's good. I just tried to release the clutch as soon as I saw the lights, and I got a good traction. That was it. It's not much to it. It's practicing. It's something you must practice. And I'm sure many sim races don't do it, but you got to practice every day. Every day that you're on the track, you must practice start. So that's something I've been doing. It's been giving me some good results. So even if I didn't get a very good qualifying lap, at least I could get a good start. So I even had to brake at some point, because if I didn't brake, I would crash into Tommy. So it was a very good start.
It certainly did. Practice makes perfect, and I think practice today garnered you a 2nd place. Congratulations. Hopefully, we'll get to see you next season.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to you guys.
That's Ricardo Orozco, P2 today, out on track. One last one I believe we're going to talk to is the driver we were impressed with, charging his way through the field. Sam is going to be talking to Andre real quick to see how in the world he managed to overtake that many cars.
Yeah, Rick, we were saying at the start of the year here on GSRC, we broadcast Finch going from the back of a field to the front at Spa. However, that must be a lot trickier to do here on the tight confines of Imola.
First of all, thanks. I was a bit lucky because, like, at the start of a race, I had a lot of grip in the tires, and a lot of people were actually battling, and I was able to make my way through a field. And as you may see on the stream, on the broadcast during the race, when I was catching P6, P5 with Calistani and Prieto, it was much harder to pass. Like, you had to focus on the ERS management, so you had to save a bit behind the cars, and then in the straight line you release the battery power.
Now, how much longer could have you held on to that fourth position? Because we saw Prieto, Guerrero, and Oscar were all closing in on you at the end there.
I don't think I could have handled one more lap. To be honest, like on the last 10 laps, my wheel had a problem. So basically, when I was turning or taking a curb, the ERS mode was changing. And so on a lap, like I think I did a 120.7, I was like, whoa, I'm fast. And then seconds later, I saw that I was in the qualifying mode. So I was like with 5% of battery remaining. And I had to save a lot of ERS during those last 10 laps to make those 5% stretch a bit higher. So it was quite stressful and quite intense.
Just gives you an idea of how much these drivers have to pay attention to all the different dials and readings going on throughout the race. Well, Andre, a great job being able to catch that and still hold on to a fourth place finish. It wasn't quite the podium, but it was still an impressive run. And hey, we look forward to seeing what you can do in the future.
Yeah, thanks. And thank you guys for the broadcast. It was really nice to have you for the whole season.
All right, that was our fourth place finisher there today, Joe. Anna-Rick, Andre, solid performance to wrap off a year. Unfortunately, just wasn't quite able to get to the podium today.
Yep, just a bit shy. Even still, I think he should be proud of the way that he was able to pass that many cars throughout the race. We're going to close up today. Before we do, we want to give one more thank you to our crowdfunding donors who came forward this season and helped make all these broadcasts possible. 11 of them that we covered this season. Didn't get to cover the first one because they came to us just a little bit late, but we were excited as soon as they came forward, and Jan Brzezina asked us if we could broadcast the iRacing Grand Prix Series. We'd love to do next season once again. So once again, if you want to see that happen, go talk to Jan Brzezina. He's organizing the efforts to get those funds together to bring GSRC back to cover this Formula One series here on iRacing, official Formula One iRacing. And we'd love to come back if you'd like to see us back as well. Also, thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sam, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page as well. There's a big red button that says subscribe. If you hit that, you won't miss a moment here on the GSRC. If we do come back, it'll be 2 weeks from now, probably around the same time at 10 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. Hopefully, we'll be able to return. But in the meantime, we have other upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. So check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.